Steve, good weekend for us.
Yeah, he was great, Lyndon, defeating Yardy against all the odds.
It was against all the odds, wasn't it?
Well, it was if he was an outsider, but obviously there's a lot of people, certainly in the northwest, who fancied Lyndon to beat him and beat him with just a jab, and that's really what happened. It wasn't dissimilar to what Joyce did the week before to Dubois, was it? I mean, unfortunately, Lyndon has been carrying a damaged arm, and I believe his wrist went in the warm up as well. So you know, it wasn't ideal preparation. It wasn't ideal just before the fight, but you know, he showed the golfing class really. You know, people were talking about Yard as he was something that we all knew he wasn't, and you know, he beat him with one hand, and you know, Lyndon was very nice after the fight where he wouldn't say anything about it, but the truth is, and everyone could see it, he beat Anthony Yarder with just his left hand.
Yeah, I think outside the final round, he only threw the right hand in the whole of the fight outside the 12th round twice. Once in the 4th and I think once in the 8th. First shot.
I didn't count. I knew he wasn't throwing it much because, like, obviously he's watching it there, and there were close rounds, but I thought he was winning the majority of them. I mean, our referee could have it 9 rounds to 3 for Yardy. He's beyond me, and I'm best not discussing it really. I was getting in trouble with the ball, but he was terrible that. But you know, I think you got to look at it, and I'm a great believer in the fighters make the trainers me, and I've always said that. But if you look at the job Pat's done with Lyndon and the advice he was giving him in the corner, you know, he was going back and he was just saying, look, you're doing well, but you've got to now put that jab in a little bit harder and put more power in it, and keep him off, because he'll be pushing through, stop flicking out, push it through, you know, good boxing advice. And then you look at what's on in the other corner, he's scared, he's running backwards, there's lines in the camp, you know what I mean, that weren't helping him at all, was it? And you know, at the end, thankfully the right decision was given, and Lyndon Arthur's the WBO Intercontinental and still the Commonwealth champion.
Unfortunately, we've not seen the best of Lyndon Arthur, because on his 2 biggest occasions, which was when he won the Commonwealth, he damaged his left hand on that night, and managed to win again on the biggest occasion for him, pick up the Commonwealth title, and then going into this fight with his biggest opponent, name-wise, he got in there with a bad starting the fight, not it going in the fight, but starting the fight knowing you've only got one hand, which is what he did when he won the Commonwealth. So I think those 2 lessons he's learned are going to stand him in good stead further down the line. And
listen, the confidence that he'll get out of that will take him up another level, you know. And as you say, he was being put down by most people all the way to it there. I mean, you say Pat's done a great job with him, and if you think of those days, he's got him through with just the one arm. I mean, what's going to happen when
that's what I'm saying, that's why I'm excited.
He's fully fit and confident, and you know, there is a rematch option that they've got if they want to exercise it, but I mean, it weren't really an exciting fight, was it? You know, let's be truthful about it. It was for us, because we were happy with what was going on, and he was controlling it with the jab. But you know, the people who were turning in to see a punch up didn't see it, and you know, you think, what could Yardy do different next time? Well, certainly Lyndon will be better, but would he have to do anything different? You know, he just won it with a jab. So I'm not sure whether they'll push for the rematch. So I hope they look at it now and see, you know, that he was an accomplished amateur.
What would you like for Lyndon? Would you like him to go on to European level now?
Well, I think he should be pushed the way Yardy was pushed, and get pushed towards a world title fight, and you know, 2 or 3 more good learning fights, he'd be capable of doing it and winning it, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's not just getting him a world title fight, it's about winning it and then being able to carry on and defend it. So I think they've got to really look at it and think, well, that's what we should be doing with Lyndon. You know what I mean? He's got that amateur pedigree. You know, he's fought in those World Boxing Series and done well. You know, we've actually got something we can work with.
He's a little bit of the forgotten man in the light heavyweight division, really, isn't he? You know, even though he was a Commonwealth champion, people were always talking about Boatsy and Callum Johnson and everyone else and Anthony Hardy. But now he's well, I think he's number 3 in the British box recs.
Well, I think they need to look at that as well when you consider he's just done it with one arm. But no, congratulations, I was buzzing, so well done Lyndon and well done Pat, you did great corner work, and obviously the 10 weeks getting him prepared.
Well, as good a news as that was, bit of unfortunate news for his stablemate in Zelfa, because he should have been out at the weekend, shouldn't he?
Yeah, that was gut-wrenching really for Zelfa. They say things happen for a reason, and it might have worked out really well that Pat could just focus and stay in the one bubble with Lyndon and get that job and won, rather than having to go between two. But Zelfa, from a selfish point of view, he's done the same training as Lyndon. You know, 10 weeks hard training. You know, lots of sparring, which, you know, you don't really need to be done unnecessary sparring if you're not fighting. Dieting again, which is no good on your body, to do it and then not fight. So it was gutting, but he should have been fighting the night before on the Billy Joe Saunders Martin Buddy card, and he got pulled off with like a week to go, which you know, we weren't pleased about, but we took it on the chin. Eddie said he's fighting in January now, but when you see what that card was like on the Friday, and I'm not saying the card on the Saturday was great either by any stretch of imagination, but Zelfa Barrett on Friday night would have been a good addition to what was delivered. Yeah,
it definitely brings excitement, doesn't it? Now, going on about, you just spoke about it, Martin Money, Billy Joe, it was sad, wasn't it? It was has he retired now then, Martin?
Well, I listened to the interview afterwards, and he's as good as said he was retired. He's 38, he's had 5 world title fights, he's obviously made himself a few quid. The body, apparently his back went in the 8th and he'd gone in the training. The body, you know, it's a young man's game, isn't it? And I know, like, they had Tyson and not Holyfield, Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. They're talking about Holyfield. I just heard Mayweather's fighting bleeding
Glenn McCrory.
Well, no, Holyfield and Glenn McCrory, yeah. But they've just announced Mayweather with a YouTube, haven't they? You know,
is it Logan Paul, is it?
Yeah, well, whoever it is, it's just getting ridiculous, isn't it? But going back to that one with Martin, he's done really well. He's had a good career. He's made himself a few quid. He's 38. He can't keep putting his body through that when you know what I mean.
I tell you something though, he's an hard man, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, because it took a few rounds for Billy Joe to get going, but once he did get going, it was hard to watch, because, you know, I think Martin's a top man, and but it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Stuck it through to the
Billy
end.
Joe's a quality operator, isn't he? And he, even at his peak, Martin would have had a difficult job with him. So at 38, he was a too big of an ask for him, but you know, he went in there, he didn't give up on it, and he tried, but you know, it was one-sided, and say, like you just said, it wasn't nice to see, but you know, he's gone and had another go, and I mean, he's not daft, he'll call it a day, Martin. There's no need to go on anymore now.
Hopefully he'll come back here with Jamie.
Yeah, he's got a lot to offer, hasn't he?
A real lot to offer. Anything else on the cards for our players?
Really and truthfully, that's the end of us now for the year. So it's not been a great 2020, has it? We've managed to get 2 shows at there, and we've had a few kids fighting on the TV show, and we're waiting now just for the new year. Zelfa should be the first one out in January for us, and then Josh Warrington, waiting for that to announce. Reece Mould will be fighting for the British title on that there. I
suppose it's going to be a huge year for Jack Cullen as well, after that great performance last time out.
Yeah, there's a few, haven't they, who's gone on and shone on these behind closed doors there, so I'm hoping that Aqib Fiaz gets a quick date. Jack Cullen will expect to get a date for him soon, and then obviously one thing that I've just seen there after Mark Leach's performance, the kid he beats,
I know, he's
on the AJ card, and listen, you can understand it. He's managed by AJ, and so he's going to put his lad on. But when you look at it, it's hard to explain to people. He was a friend of mine who phoned me up to tell me, he's saying like, how can Mark Leach be just not used after that stunning performance, and the kid that he outclassed comes straight out?
Is it after the Commonwealth, is that?
I don't know if he's fine for something, I don't know.
Because wasn't Ashley, I'm sure Ashley was a Commonwealth.
Yeah, I don't even know who he was fighting, Lee, but it's hard, isn't it? And like, I'm just hoping that we can get some good news with Mark being made Mandy for the British Super Bantamweight title on Wednesday when the board do, because he needs some good news, doesn't it? Because you put a performance in like that, and then the other kid gets a leg up and you don't. It must be heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking for me. But that's how the sport is. I remember Carl Greaves put a tweet out the other month, didn't he, about saying that the kids, because they were signed with Dillian White, were getting out, and they're not as good as lots of other kids who can't get a break, and it's business, in it, and that's how it works. But without saying it before, I was saying the show standards Friday and Saturday were pretty poor, and the likes of BT and Sky have got to start having a look at what we're putting out and turning around to them and saying, look, I understand what you're saying, he's a top attraction and he's but don't be putting them on live on TV for us, because they're not good enough. We want to see the quality, and hopefully we was expecting to change this year, wasn't we? But he didn't do. Hopefully next year everyone can get a grip of it, and let's start showing this sport to the quality it can be, and not disappointing the fans.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. Do you think now we've had the vaccines out, it's on its way, isn't it? Crowds are being let in, the football's having up to 2,000 people. Do you think that's going to open the door for the small hall shows getting on the way in
undoubtedly. How and when, I'm not too sure, but undoubtedly it'll happen, and I dare say the latest I can see us doing shows is probably March, which I'm really pleased about now, because at one stage he might have been even later than that. So I'd have thought we'll all be back doing shows in March, whether the full capacities or what, I don't know, but it's good now. The lads will have spent 12 months not fighting, and it's time to get them all going. But I think they've all got to realise now, apart from 12 months of the career's been waiting, there's a lot of amateurs who are turning over pro, and they're all going to have to realise they're not going to get the noddy fights that they've had in the past, and so unless they go on TV.
do you feel that then inside, we're still going to try and get the 4-3s and 6-2s, but then after that, really, do you think it's like, it's now time to let them off the leash and
well, no, what I'm basically saying is that you sometimes carry people for 10 fights, maybe it'll only be 4 or 5 now, and the stepping up and progressing fights are going to have to be quicker. So and it's not just for the punters, it's for the careers of the boxers as well. I mean, going back to the Hardy fight there, he's supposed to be the kid who's experienced, been fought for a world title and all that, but if you look at all the noddy fights he was given before, it's not really helped him out, has it? Really, you could say he's a success because he got to fight for the world title and make a lot of money without having to prove himself. But if you want to be a champion and not just fight for the champion, you've got to learn your trade.
Though, because if you remember when he first started out, he was really raw. I don't think he had many amateur fights.
No, he didn't. I believe he was a footballer, but that's what I'm saying is he's a success in the fact that he's made a lot of money. But to be a champion, you need to develop and learn your career, and he's not done, has he?
No. But brilliant for us though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because like you say, I think slowly, if you listen to the commentators on that night, they were getting a lot of news from the likes of John Evans and a lot of the people who work in the Northwest saying this is a live fight, this, because everyone was just thinking it was just a little walk in the park for Anthony Hardy, even Anthony Hardy and Tunde his coach
they
was talking
dismissed
that
him,
way.
didn't they?
Totally.
And do you know what, it might have happened the week before, and when you think of it there, I mean, Choice, you know, standout amateur. I mean, I couldn't believe it when they said he's the most decorative amateur ever that's come through the GP things. So, you know, there's pedigree there, and there's pedigree with Lyndon Arthur, and the hype trains fell apart, didn't they? So, you know.
So, fingers crossed, a big year for 21 for the VIP fighters.
Going to be better than 20, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. All right, Steve.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.